right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks again for joining. Today's webinar is about remote meetings and workshops and how to run those in Miro. I'm Lindsey and I'm on the product marketing team here at Miro.
And I'm Matt Mulholland, Customer Education Manager.
So today's agenda, we're going to give an overview of meetings and workshops. We're going to go through a couple different stages of the workshop, from preparation and designing a board, to onboarding and inviting new users, to facilitation tools and how to manage during the session, and then what we call the aftermath, or what do you do with your Miro boards after the session ends. And then we'll go over plans and sharing. So what is Miro? Miro is an online collaborative whiteboarding platform. For those of you who have never seen Miro before, we are in Miro currently. And some key concepts, Miro has boards. So if you think of Google Docs, it has docs and slides. And if you think of Microsoft products, there's like Excel spreadsheets, right? And docs. Well, we have boards and we're on a Miro board right now. They are infinite and they're free form, like a digital form of your favorite whiteboard. So you can really do anything with them and build whatever you need to. And we're going to show you how to do that today. And they're also collaborative. So you can invite hundreds of your closest friends to collaborate on the board with you at the same time and really replicate that feeling of working side by side in person. And this video has a clip of an internal meeting here at Miro that we did where we had about 83 people on the board together collaborating in real time. Miro is available on any device, so if you're on the go and need to answer comments or give feedback, you can access it from your phone. You can access it from a tablet or a touch screen if you want to draw and do more of a classic whiteboarding style interaction, or in the browser and on native apps for most devices.
Cool. And this webinar, we're not going to cover a ton about the basics of Miro. It's really a lot about how do you use it for remote meetings and workshops. But before we can get to that, just a few little tidbits about how Miro works. Just a little kind of tour. On the left-hand side, this is what we call our content creation toolbar. If you want to place something on the board, such as this sticky note here, a line, use the pen tool, or add shapes, you're going to find that stuff in this left toolbar on your screen. And if you want to do collaborative activities, like use the presentation mode, which we're using right now, or do voting or the timer or the video chat, that stuff's going to be on the bottom toolbar. Okay. And we're going to be talking quite a bit about these things called frames. And if you look around the board, there's some frames that look like slides. Miro's not a presentation tool, but you can use it to do presentations. And frames are what lets you separate the board into different areas. And we're going to utilize those to create structure for our whiteboarding, for our workshops. So just a few little bits there before we continue on.
As Matt kind of started to chat about, Miro is a very flexible tool and it can be used for a variety of different use cases. Some of the top use cases that we see amongst our customers are ideation and brainstorming, UX research and design, and agile workflows or agile ceremonies. We also see Miro used for a variety of different meetings and workshops, such as design sprints, brainstorming sessions, innovation sessions, retrospective sprint planning. So really just think about sort of any meeting that you typically have in person that you're not able to. You can recreate that in Miro. People also use Miro to create awesome presentations. And this is especially helpful after a meeting or a workshop where you may have some outputs and insights that you want to synthesize and present to stakeholders. You can easily use Miro to create presentations without having to replicate a lot of work. So next we're going to do a Zoom poll. So in a minute you should see a poll appear. And you can also access it from the interface if you find this polling icon, if it doesn't pop up for you. It hasn't popped up yet, but it should. We'd love to know, what kind of workshop and remote meeting do you run in Miro, or would you like to run in Miro? Wait a second for that. Oh, and now the poll should have appeared for you. So go ahead and pick as many are right for you. And if you don't see that, find that poll icon.
And don't do brainstorming just because it's the first one, guys. Choose the real one.
Maybe brainstorming is their number one, though.
I know, but it's hard to know.
And then while we wait for the poll results, Matt, do you want to tell them a little about Your other awesome webinar?
Yeah, so every Thursday, well, I was going to say morning, but every Thursday we have a Getting Started with Miro webinar, and we'll be advertising and sending you guys a link after this session. But if you want to enable your colleagues to get started with Miro, or you want a basic course yourself, this is a great place to start. And we also have a live Q&A. It's about 30 minutes of structured content, 15 minutes Q&A, just like here. And really, you'll walk away with a really solid understanding of how to use Miro to do a variety of different use cases. So please, if some of this stuff that we cover today goes over your head, it might just be because we need a basic understanding of Miro first. And so please go to the Getting Started with Miro webinar, and that should give you a foundational understanding. Okay. And I think the poll results should show up. Ah, okay. And it's still brainstorming. So you're right, Lindsay. It must be real because I called it out.
Yes, and today looks like we have design thinking workshops as second. And then we have project kickoff and traction meetings at number 3. That's a new one on the
that's cool.
for us. That's awesome.
Was that not there in previous, when we did it, the poll previously?
I think it was there, but I think that it didn't rank as high. So I think it's ranking higher this week.
Oh, super interesting. Okay, well, let's continue and move on into how do you run remote meetings and workshops. So the first thing that you might be doing is creating a new workshop, or you might be translating it from an offline workshop that you were doing and now pulling it into Miro. And so we're going to cover how you might do that. We're going to talk about how to use frames. I pointed those out in a little bit. How to create some structure in your board. We're going to talk about locking down elements and how you can save your board as a custom template. And if I go over to this frame here, inside this frame, we're doing something a little meta. We have frames inside a frame, and you can see that this big frame kind of represents your board. And this is an example structure that you might have for your workshop. We're using large shapes to create big areas of our board to help people find where they need to go. You can have the workshop title and underneath frames for things like welcome, goals, and agenda. Why are they there? A big title for icebreakers. Icebreakers are really key in doing online workshops. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And then use a frame for each participant or each group of participants for their individual icebreakers. And then use, again, a large shape with the activity name. Include instructions on your board. And one of the reasons is that when you're doing an online workshop, you're going to find that people get distracted and get lost more easily than if you were doing it in person. So having your instructions on the board will allow them to find them themselves and reread them. Otherwise, they'll have to, you'll have to find, anyway, it'll help things. Also, we've also found that if you create individual workspaces that are smaller for either the individual or a small group of people, you'll find that your engagement goes up. Again, it has to do with online workshops. People can kind of hide a little bit more. They're a little more hesitant to participate. And if you give them their own space that's separate from other people's, you're going to find that they are more encouraged and they're able to give their brains the space that they need to work. And again, you can create frames for each one of those individual workspaces. And then what you can do is take those individual areas down to a group activity in a larger frame just below. And we'll go through a couple example group activities just now. But this example, we'll be sharing this board to you afterwards. You can follow this example for your next workshop. It'll probably really increase people's ability to follow along and find their way.
So within a workshop, you can do a variety of different activities, and we really recommend activities that are visual. Miro is a really visual tool, so anything that you typically do on a whiteboard. Activities using sticky notes are really great because people can jot down ideas, they can move them around, make clusters, make groups. They can use color coding and tagging to really clusterize and visually see those insights and replicate that in-person experience. You can also go into the templates library, right on the left-hand side, and you can browse through many different activities. So whether you're creating customer journeys or personas, maybe you're doing some impact mapping, you can really just browse through and find an awesome starting place so that you don't need to build from scratch. Oh, Matt, do you want to show our new favorite, building blocks?
Building blocks?
Building blocks. We love this one. It's a brand new section. Prioritization matrix, timelines, this new bullseye, idea funnel. We love this one.
I probably get way too excited about it. Like,
I remember when we found it. That was fun.
Too excited for my own good.
So after you've done an awesome group activity, you're probably going to want to do some sort of voting to either prioritize ideas or figure out like what you want to move forward with. We have a couple different ways you can do voting in Miro. One is by using a simple dot voting template. So you might have seen that in the building blocks template section. You can drop the template on the board and then you can just change the names of the participants and then do your classic dot voting. Now, if you want to run an anonymous vote, Miro has a built-in plugin for that as well. You'll see that at the bottom. And this is going to allow you to run an anonymous poll. So that would be the difference between using the dot voting template and the voting plugin is one is anonymous and one is not. Also, the voting template is available on our paid plan. So if you are on the free plan, you'll want to use the dot voting template.
All right. One of the biggest struggles that come with running an online workshop is the fact that not only do you have to prep your participants on what kind of activities you're going to be doing and the like, you're also going to have to onboard them into Miro and maybe Zoom if they've never used that before, and any other tools that you're using to have a good experience. And that adds an additional element that we have to address. And so we have some examples and some suggestions on how you might approach this problem. And the first is with videos and how-tos. Second is with icebreakers. And the last is by using a feature called visual notes. On Miro's YouTube channel, we have a nice selection of getting started with Miro videos that you can find. And they're available for everyone. You can watch them from within the board. If you paste them, just paste the YouTube link into your board and you can watch them right there. You can also, in your preparatory email that you send out, I'm sure you have one where you're saying, this is what the webinar is, or workshop is about, this is when it'll be, all of this kind of stuff, maybe even in the Google Calendar invite, you can include some sort of pre-work section and include the videos about Miro. You can also send them to Miro Academy, which is academy.miro.com, and have them take the Getting Started with Miro course there. Essentially, have them watch videos about Miro beforehand is going to give them the context and not have them to learn so much on the spot. Okay. The second tip is to use icebreakers. You saw that in the example structure that we showed, there was sections for icebreakers. Well, this is just because we highly recommend that you give people an opportunity to play around and mess around with Miro before the workshop. And icebreakers are an ideal thing for them to do in advance. So you can send each participant, for example, a link to each individual frame or a group of frames. Click on the frame, click on copy link, send that to the participant, say fill out the icebreaker. And there are so many different icebreakers that you can do. You can just do a nice little Google search to find those. This is a this or that one. I do recommend that you find an icebreaker that uses the same features that you'll be using in your group activities, for example. So that way they'll play around with the same features that they need to know. And the last example that I have for you guys is using visual notes. Visual notes is a relatively new feature. And what it does is it creates sort of a text style document that's attached to your board. So you can see that I've zoomed out and my visual here on the text document is the same. It's kind of attached to the board. It's not on the board. And you can use this for a variety of different ways. One of them is to do again, repeat, why are we doing this? What is the schedule? When are the breakouts going to be? And also you can do the pre-work. So here I've linked to the Academy course, academy.miro.com, and I've also given people links to the board where they can then complete their icebreakers. Be sure to pin notes open, toggling this pin icon in order to have the notes automatically open when someone joins the board. That way they'll have no choice. They won't be able to miss it.
All right, now we have prepped our boards, we have invited people, we have our agenda. Now it's time to facilitate during the session. So actual facilitation, there's not many templates to show you for this piece, right? Because it's actually doing the work together. So we're going to show you some of the key features for facilitating an awesome and engaging session. The first would be video chat and screen share. So I'm going to go ahead and start a video chat on my side. And you can see what that looks like on Matt's side. So as you can see for Matt, it pops up at the bottom here, and he can click and join me. And now he's joined me on video chat on the board. So this is a great way to just run a spontaneous video call right from within Miro. And we don't run our webinars using Miro's video chat because we need the webinar features like polling and Q&A. And this is also something you would do for 25 or less people. Now within this, you can also start a screen share. So I, as a presenter, can start a screen share. And now you can see that Matt's interface has gone away, and I can move the board around. So this is a great way for me to present remotely and really take control of the session. So as a facilitator, get everyone on a call and start a screen share. I go ahead and close that. Now next would be the timer. So as a facilitator, it's great to time box all of your activities. So you can start a timer at the bottom of the board and run, that will display on everyone's board, and it will sound a chime when that timer is up. And we also have voting, which we briefly covered earlier. But if you want to run an anonymous vote, you can do that as well, right from within Miro. Now, actually, we need to update the slide. No longer coming soon, but it has arrived,
that's right.
Which is what we call a series of features we call attention management. There are two parts. One is bring to me, and the other is to follow. So I can, let's see, let me go to a different part of the board on my side so you can see what that looks like for Matt. So what I can do as a facilitator is I can click on my icon. Actually, Matt, can you do that?
Yeah, I'll just click bring everyone to me. And it's now going to bring Lindsey to my area of the board. You can see how her cursor is now in my field. And actually, if I move, it's going to pull her with me. And it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that her cursor is lagging around on my screen. It's because she's following me right now. We could probably switch it and have me follow her for a minute. She can just click on my avatar or her avatar and do follow. Oh, there we go. I'm following her. You can see that down at the bottom it says you are following Lindsey Meredith.
Is it working? I can't see your screen.
It is working.
Cool, so it's traveling around. So this is a great way to corral people as you are working online. You know, Miro is a nonlinear tool, so people could be in all sorts of places on the board. And when you want to just bring everyone to that one place and focus attention, this is a great way to do that. Kind of like a digital huddle. Nice. So after the session, going from idea into action, and what do we do with our boards? How do we continue to make use of this after the session? Let's focus on that. So Miro doesn't just stop when your session stops. Miro is a great tool for going from idea, what we call from idea into execution. So many teams use us for task tracking, for agile planning, for workflows. So we have a lot of features built in to help you guys to go into that task management piece of the project following a session. So the feature that Matt is pointing out right now is called a card. And a card can be changed from a sticky note. Maybe we can show them how to do that. Maybe we can take a sticky note and convert it into a card. So let's say we've generated a lot of ideas on sticky notes, we've done a vote, we know which ones we want to take forward. Well, we can then take those stickies and we can convert them to cards. Now, cards become a great way to manage tasks because you can add more information, you can assign it to someone, you can put a due date, and then you can start to use our templates like the Kanban board, which are going to allow you to build a workflow and track your tasks as they move through the workflow. So it's a great visual tool, and everyone's already on the board from the workshops. You guys can just continue to work here together. This comes into play, or this is where like having an infinite board is also a benefit that comes into play, because you don't run out of space, you don't need to be moving to different areas. And if you have Jira, CA Rally, Azure DevOps, or Asana, you can integrate with those tools as well to automate the task tracking process there. Embedding your boards, Miro has integrations built with MS Teams, Jira, Confluence, Trello, Airtable, and Notion. We also have an awesome iframe as well, so you can really embed your Miro boards anywhere, and then you can access them right from that source. People can view, they can comment. If they have edit access, they can actually work right from within that file. So embed them on Jira issues, embed them in Confluence pages, embed them everywhere, and make sure that everyone has the same information, the most up-to-date information.
Oh no, sneak peek.
Matt, you want to take sticky capture?
Yeah, sure. So one of the features that's not super relevant for right now, perhaps, but we do have the ability to convert pictures of sticky notes into digital sticky notes. And if I click here on the 3 dots, this is going to pull up my More Tools section. Here's sticky note capture. It works really well on our mobile apps, but can also do it here as well. I have a picture of a wall full of sticky notes. And if I select the file, Miro will actually find them inside the picture. It'll first find the sticky notes. You can see it identified them on the wall, and I click Add to Board. I will say that this example is like really clean, and I acknowledge that. Trust me, I have used it on not clean examples, and it still works. Like, dare to dream big using this thing. It works. It's crazy.
Handwriting is not great, and it totally captured my like half print, half cursive.
Yeah. So you can see it has text recognition, and it converts it to, you know, fully functional Miro stickies. Really cool feature. Try it on the mobile apps especially. It's awesome.
Lastly, we covered this at the beginning, but we can touch on it again really quickly, is awesome presentation. So all of these slides you've been seeing are called frames, and you can put a frame around any information, then that becomes a slide in your presentation. So rather than taking all the work you did in the workshop, moving it into PowerPoint or Keynote, recreating it, you can just consolidate, align things, add some headers, add some descriptors, and just throw a frame around it and do your presentation to stakeholders, or a leave behind or a follow-up right from within Miro. It should save you guys a ton of time. The last piece here is sharing and how sharing works on our different plans. We understand we probably have people from all of our different levels of plan joining today. So on the free plan, you have an unlimited number of users on your free plan, no limit to the number of users. So if you want to run a workshop or a team meeting and give that a try in Miro on the free plan, simply invite them at the top of the sharing icon. So there's a share button. And at the top of the window is where you'll see this sharing, and you can invite all of your coworkers. And again, there's no restriction on the number of users on the free plan. On the team plan, you can share like you would on the free plan and invite people. We also have a newer feature that you may not have found yet, but it's called the guest editor, which is a free anonymous editor on your board. So you can, at the sort of the middle of the window where it says anyone with the link, toggle that on. And before you only had comment in view, and now you have edit comment in view. So you can have anonymous people join you on the board and comment. Sorry, do more than comment, actually edit. So that is new. Now on consultant, business, and enterprise, when we go one level up, we also have a third license type called a day pass, or in your admin panel it'll be called a non-team collaborator. And what this allows you to do is invite people for just a day or two rather than inviting them to your entire subscription. But it gives you a level of security. If you can't have someone be anonymous, you can require them to log in and be able to track them through the plan. So that's an added level of security with some flexibility for our more scaled plans. And hope that clears it up. But between all of those three types, whether it's unlimited free users on the free plan, guest editors, or day pass users, we hope that you can easily invite whoever you need to your workshops.
Awesome. All right, we're going to start transitioning into Q&A, and let's just quickly go through some of these takeaways. And while we're doing that, start browsing the Q&A and upvoting the questions that you're interested in. I recommend scrolling down because I find that a lot of the top questions will have already answered. So go to the bottom questions, maybe some of the newer ones, and make sure that you wouldn't like us to answer those. But here's some takeaways. Use frames and lock stuff down. Wow, I forgot to cover lock. So maybe I should cover that instead of just putting it in our takeaways. If you highlight content, you can lock it down like this. It becomes a part of the background and you can't move it without unlocking it first.
Very important. Don't forget that piece.
Yes. Use our templates. We showed you the template library, and you can build your workshops using the building blocks, for example. If you highlight your template, you can click on the three dots again and save it as a custom template. Sorry, if you highlight your boards that you've created for your workshops, you can save them as custom templates and use them over and over. Send how-tos and Miro Academy ahead of time. Use visual notes to help people onboard and do brainstorms with Miro. Check out the guest editor feature where you click on share, turn on the public link, and select edit. That's a paid plan feature. And after this webinar, if you want to learn more, check out about anything that we've covered. You can check out our in-app guide with the question mark and explore around there. Again, go to Miro Academy, that's academy.miro.com. Join the community, that's community.miro.com. And you should get some more resources there.
Well, thank you everyone.
Good questions today.
For joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Right,
We will see you around.
Bye.